This tech giant ruled over 150 countries and vanished in just 5 years. Why did Nokia's CEO cry during the final press conference? They had smartphones before the iPhone and still failed. Welcome to TFC, Tech and Finance Code. Today's story is one of glory, power, innovation, and downfall. We're unpacking the dramatic rise and catastrophic fall of Nokia, the mobile phone titan that once ruled the world. This isn't just a tech history lesson. This is a wake-up call about innovation, corporate arrogance, market disruption, and the high price of standing still. You're about to uncover industry secrets, global strategies, missed opportunities, and emotional farewells. So plug in, stay focused, because this is one story you'll never forget. The epic rise of Nokia. It all began in 1865, not with phones, but pulp. That year, Finnish engineer Fredrik Edestam founded a paper mill on the banks of the Nokian Virta River. This small operation in Finland would later evolve into one of the largest technology giants the world had ever seen. The company soon expanded into rubber production, power generation, and electronics, thanks to a merger between 3 Finnish companies. By the 1960s, Nokia had entered the electronics sector, laying the groundwork for its future in telecommunications. In the 1980s, Nokia became a key player in building telecommunication infrastructure, focusing on radio transmission and early mobile systems. But it was in 1992, under the leadership of newly appointed CEO Jorma Ollila, that Nokia made a bold decision to fully focus on telecommunications. Shedding its other divisions, the company placed a massive bet on mobile technology. This focus and clarity of purpose became its defining strategy. The payoff was monumental. Nokia launched the first GSM call in 1991, a huge milestone in mobile communication. The company's success snowballed. By 1998, Nokia overtook Motorola to become the world's largest mobile phone manufacturer. Between 1998 and 2008, Nokia reigned supreme. They weren't just selling devices, they were selling identity. For millions, especially in markets like India, China, Africa, and Eastern Europe, owning a Nokia meant access to the future. These phones weren't luxury, they were necessity. Nokia had a presence in over 150 countries, with regional headquarters and manufacturing plants on nearly every continent. The company employed more than 132,000 people globally, spanning design, software, logistics, and customer service. In India, Nokia held a staggering 70% market share, and its brand had cultural weight. Even rural areas considered Nokia phones a status symbol. In 2007, Nokia sold over 437 million handsets, more than Apple, Samsung, and Motorola combined. Globally, Nokia captured 41% of the mobile market, an unmatched dominance. Nokia wasn't just a manufacturer, it was an innovator. It led the introduction of text messaging, multimedia messaging, and customizable ringtones. It developed the Symbian operating system, which powered the earliest smartphones. It experimented with touchscreen devices, camera integration, GPS, and even early versions of smartwatches long before the competition. It even had a functioning mobile app store years before Apple launched the App Store. Nokia also pioneered mobile gaming, with titles like Snake becoming worldwide phenomena. It had a loyal developer community, futuristic design labs, and a product line that spanned from entry-level devices to business smartphones. But hidden behind these triumphs were growing internal cracks. Nokia held hundreds of valuable patents, including ones for 3G and early smartphone components. It was also heavily invested in R&D, with annual expenditures in the billions. The company was even working on flexible screens and modular phones well before these became industry trends. It had strong relationships with telecom carriers, giving it huge leverage over mobile distribution and pricing. Nokia's marketing campaigns and branding strategies were globally adapted, from youth-centered ads in India to luxury campaigns in Europe. And still, with all of these assets, Nokia lost control of the narrative. By 2005, cracks began forming in the foundation of this massive empire. Nokia's internal structure had become bloated. Departments operated like separate kingdoms, leading to miscommunication and political infighting. Engineers and product designers were innovating furiously, but their ideas were often blocked or shelved by management focused on short-term gains. One of the biggest bottlenecks was the Symbian OS. Though once ahead of its time, Symbian was now complex, unstable, and difficult for developers to work with. The market was shifting. Developers were looking for platforms that were intuitive, scalable, and easy to code for. Symbian couldn't deliver that anymore. Meanwhile, Nokia had already developed touchscreen devices and swipe gestures years before the iPhone, but these ideas never made it to production. Leadership rejected them. They believed that the public would not embrace full-touch devices and remained fixated on physical keyboards. Then came 2007. Apple released the iPhone, and suddenly the game changed. It wasn't just a phone, it was a revolution. The iPhone introduced an intuitive interface, a capacitive touchscreen, and an integrated app store. The user experience was unlike anything Nokia had offered. And in 2008, Google followed with Android, an open-source platform platform that developers embraced instantly. Nokia, however, continued to push the outdated Symbian system while working on a new OS called MeeGo, but it was too late. The world had moved on. The innovation engine at Nokia was stalled. Talented engineers were demoralized. Key people left for competitors, and customers started turning to brands that felt more modern, more connected, and more intuitive. Even more frustratingly, internal Nokia teams had created a working prototype that combined smartphone functionality with touchscreens and an easy-to-use interface. But these were sidelined due to internal politics and fear of cannibalizing existing product lines. In 2010, Nokia appointed Stephen Elop, a Canadian executive from Microsoft, as CEO. He was the first non-Finnish CEO in Nokia's history. Elop took drastic steps. In 2011, he published the infamous Burning Platform memo, describing Nokia as a company standing on a burning oil rig, needing to leap into uncertain waters to survive. His solution? Abandon Symbian and MeeGo and partner with Microsoft to use Windows Phone OS. It was a bold move, but also a controversial one. The decision alienated Nokia's existing user base and confused its loyal developers. Windows Phone was sleek but lacked apps. Developers didn't see the value in building for a small market share. Consumers were already locked into the Android or iOS ecosystems. Nokia's market share plummeted. What was intended as a lifeline became an anchor. By 2013, Nokia's smartphone business was hemorrhaging. The company couldn't keep up with Apple's innovation or Android's flexibility. Behind the scenes, there were also rumors that Elop's strategy was intentionally aligned with Microsoft's long-term plan to acquire Nokia's phone division. Whether true or not, Microsoft ended up purchasing Nokia's mobile phone business in 2013 for $7.2 billion. At the farewell press conference, CEO Stephen Elop stood before a crowd of emotional employees and global media. With tears in his eyes, he said, "We didn't do anything wrong, but somehow we lost." That line hit like a thunderclap, but behind that emotion was a truth no one could ignore. Nokia did make mistakes, fatal ones. They failed to adapt, they underestimated the iPhone, they clung to dying systems, and they let innovation rot on the shelf. Elop's words echoed through the halls of global tech. Engineers who built world-changing devices were in tears. The silence in the room was deafening. Nokia had the tech, the patents, the teams, but it lacked the will to take bold risks. They ignored internal breakthroughs, shunned touch devices, and stubbornly pushed Symbian. It wasn't just a sale, it was a funeral for ideas left buried in the R&D labs. That moment marked the end of an era. Nokia had gone from a national symbol to a cautionary tale. With 150-plus countries served, 132,000 employees, and 41% of global market share at its peak, Nokia collapsed. The sale wasn't just financial, it was emotional. It taught the world that no one, no matter how dominant, is immune to disruption. Here's what most people never saw. Nokia's market capitalization at its peak rivaled today's Apple and Microsoft. It had built prototypes of smartwatches, tablets, and touchscreen phones long before their time. The company had a functioning app store in early 2005, but failed to scale it. Nokia Maps was years ahead of Google Maps in features and offline access. It owned a rich portfolio of patents that are still used in 3G, 4G, and 5G technologies, yet none of these innovations were properly executed or marketed. Nokia had the future in its labs, but lacked the courage to launch it. Is Nokia still alive? Yes, Nokia still exists, but it has transformed entirely. Today, Nokia is a leading provider of telecom infrastructure, focusing on 5G technology, IoT, digital health, and enterprise solutions. It no longer makes phones. The Nokia-branded phones you see today are developed by HMD Global, a Finnish company founded by former Nokia employees. In 2023, Nokia rebranded with a new logo, shedding its legacy image. It now positions itself as a B2B technology company powering networks, cloud services, and digital transformation. Nokia also plays a major role in space communication, defense tech, and smart city infrastructure. It contributes to submarine cable technology and has filed patents for 6G research. The spirit of innovation didn't die, it just changed direction. The ghost of Nokia still lingers in our pockets, but its spirit lives on in the devices and networks that keep the world connected. The fall of Nokia teaches us timeless lessons. Innovation is irrelevant if not executed quickly and confidently. Past dominance does not guarantee future success. Company culture must foster creativity, not fear. Listening to users and developers is critical to staying relevant. Market disruption rewards the bold, not the comfortable. Nokia had the tools, the ideas, the infrastructure, but it didn't adapt. In tech, survival isn't about who got there first, it's about who evolves fastest. Thank you for watching TFC, Tech and Finance Code. This was the story of Nokia, how it went from a paper mill to a global tech empire, only to fall by ignoring the very innovation it once championed. If you found this story insightful, don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell. We've got more tech deep dives coming your way, because at TFC we don't just cover tech, we decode its past past, present, and future. Stay curious, stay sharp, stay profitable with TFC.